I saw my sister wearing my engagement ring under neon lights. She didn't even flinch. My name was already engraved inside it. My future was already being leveraged. They thought I'd hesitate. They forgot I read what I signed. The bass hit first, not the diamond. The bass under my heels. Sharp, repetitive, vibrating through the rooftop planks of a crowded bar in downtown Austin. Then the diamond. It caught the neon glow from a lone star sign and fractured it into shards of white light. On my sister's hand. She was leaning against the railing, laughing too loud. Tequila glass tilted, fingers flipping her blonde hair back like she'd won something. Like she'd earned it. The ring was unmistakable. Oval cut. Platinum band. Tiny hidden sapphire beneath the setting. My grandmother's ring. The one my fiancé had slipped onto my finger 3 months ago in front of Lady Bird Lake. Except it wasn't on my finger anymore. It was on hers. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Caroline Whitmore. I'm 28 years old. And this is what really happened. I didn't confront her. That's the part people always get wrong. They think I stormed across the rooftop and ripped it off her hand. They imagine a drink thrown, a scream, a public meltdown. No. I stood still, and I watched. My sister Madison was wearing a white satin top I'd seen on Instagram last week. She tagged a boutique in the domain. She'd captioned it, "Soft launch energy." Soft launch of what? Apparently, my life. She lifted her hand again. The diamond flashed. A guy beside her leaned closer. "Is that a rock or a spotlight?" he said. She smiled slow. "It's custom," she replied. Custom. The DJ transitioned songs. Something bass-heavy and smug. The skyline behind her looked unreal. Glass towers reflecting pink clouds. My phone felt heavy in my clutch. I pulled it out, opened the camera. No flash, 3 photos, zoomed. Clear enough? The hidden sapphire confirmed it. The engraving inside the band wouldn't show in pictures, but I didn't need it. I knew that ring the way you know your own pulse. It had left a faint indentation on my finger for weeks. Madison turned slightly. Our eyes met. Not shock. Recognition. She knew I saw it, and she didn't look guilty. She looked measured. Like she was waiting to see what I'd do. I gave her nothing. I adjusted the strap of my black dress, smoothed my hair, picked up the vodka soda I hadn't touched. Then I walked past her, close enough to smell her perfume. Vanilla and something sharp. She didn't say my name. I didn't say hers. I stepped into the stairwell. The music dulled behind the metal door. My hands were steady. Yes, that surprised me. Outside, the Texas air felt thick. Rideshare headlights streaked past. Someone argued across the street about surge pricing. I opened my phone again. Text to Daniel. Me. Why is Madison wearing my ring? Delivered. No response. I stood there for a full minute, watching the typing bubble that never appeared. An Uber pulled up. "Caroline?" the driver asked. "Yes." I slid into the back seat. The leather was cracked. The car smelled faintly like spearmint gum and gasoline. As we merged onto Congress Avenue, I stared at my reflection in the window. No tears. Just calculation. Daniel had proposed in April. Sunset. Photographer hiding behind a tree. Champagne from Whole Foods. He said, "This is legacy. This is forever." Legacy. The ring was a Whitmore heirloom. Passed down through women in my family. Not shared, not borrowed, not confused. I opened Instagram. Madison had posted a story, boomerang video, her hand up, diamond sparkling. Caption, "Some things are worth waiting for." The comments were already rolling in. "OMG, are you engaged?" Spill. "Who's the lucky guy?" She hadn't tagged anyone. Strategic. My phone buzzed. Daniel. Finally. Daniel. What are you talking about? I stared at the message. Me? The ring. Madison. Rooftop bar. Right now. 3 dots appeared. Stopped. Started again. Daniel. She tried it on earlier. Relax. It's being resized anyway. Relax. The word settled wrong. I typed slowly. Me. Why does she have it at a bar? No immediate answer. The Uber driver's radio murmured about traffic near High 35. My pulse stayed even. Daniel. You're overthinking. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. I looked down at my left hand. Bare, and the indentation had already started fading. When we pulled up to my apartment building in South Lamar, I didn't move right away. The driver cleared his throat gently. Everything okay back there? Yes, I said. And I meant it, because something inside me had shifted. Not broken. Shifted. Inside my apartment, the air conditioning hummed. The kitchen light was still on from when I'd left. On the counter sat a Target bag from earlier, bridal magazine inside, a Starbucks cup half full of melted ice. Normal life artifacts. I set my clutch down carefully, opened our bedroom closet, reached for the small navy box where we kept important things. Passports, insurance cards, the ring's original box. I lifted the lid. Empty. Not just the ring. The entire velvet case was gone. My breathing stayed controlled. I pulled out my phone again. Timmy. The ring box is missing too. This time, Daniel called. His name flashed across the screen with our engagement photo. I let it ring once more before answering. Caroline, seriously? He said immediately. No greeting. I'm looking at an empty box, I replied. It's at the jeweler. I told you. You told me you were getting it resized next week. Silence. Then a sigh. You're making this dramatic. I'm asking a simple question. Another pause. Madison wanted to see it, he said finally. She's your sister. She's wearing it. It's harmless. Harmless. The word echoed. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I didn't think it mattered. There it was. The crack. In every relationship, there's a moment when you realize information has been rerouted around you. Like you're not the center anymore. You gave her the ring, I said. I let her try it on. At a bar? He hesitated. She stopped by earlier. She must have kept it. Kept it. As if it were a borrowed sweater. You didn't notice? I asked. It's not a federal crime, Caroline. Federal crime. Interesting choice of words. I walked toward the window, looked out at the parking lot below, a couple arguing beside a pickup truck. Bring it home, I said calmly. I'll get it tomorrow. No, I said. Tonight? He exhaled sharply. I'm at my place already. His place. We'd been splitting time between my apartment and his condo near Zilker. I'll call her, he added. You're spiraling. Spiraling? I almost laughed. Instead, I said, call me when you have it. I hung up first. Then I opened my laptop. Not to stalk. To check something else. Our shared family investment portal. Simi, my father had added Madison and me as secondary contacts years ago. Educational funds turned diversified accounts. Nothing wild. Conservative growth. I logged in out of habit. Everything looked normal at first glance. Balances, steady. No alerts. Still. Something in my chest told me this wasn't about jealousy. It was about access. I closed the laptop slowly. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. She left the bar. I'll grab it in the morning. Left the bar. So she knew. She knew I'd seen it. I typed one more message. Me. Why did she post it? No reply. I walked into the bathroom, turned on the light, studied my face in the mirror, mascara intact, lipstick still clean. I didn't look like a woman who'd just been humiliated, and that irritated me more than if I had, because humiliation only works when you participate in it. I washed my hands slowly. The water ran cool over my fingers. The spot where the ring used to sit felt lighter, exposed, but not weak. I dried my hands, picked up my phone, Instagram notification. Madison added another story. This time, a close-up photo of her hand resting on the rooftop railing. Caption, "Timing is everything." Timing? Yes, it is. I zoomed into the image. There, just barely visible inside the band. The engraving, CW and DM forever. She hadn't noticed, or she didn't care. My name, his initials. On her hand. I set the phone down carefully on the counter. Walked back into the bedroom. Opened the closet again. Checked the safe once more. Empty. I stood there in the quiet hum of the apartment and let the truth settle. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't forgetfulness. This was testing. They wanted to see how far they could move the pieces before I reacted. I closed the safe, turned off the closet light. And for the first time that night, I smiled. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But because they'd just made a move without realizing I was still on the board. My phone remained silent. Daniel didn't call back. Madison didn't message. The city outside carried on like nothing had shifted. But something had. The diamond had flashed under neon. And in that reflection, I'd seen more than betrayal. I'd seen leverage. I picked up my phone one last time. Opened the photos I'd taken. Clear? Time stamped. Location tagged. Proof. I sent one of them to Daniel. No caption. Just the image. 3 minutes later, he read it. No response. I placed the phone face down on my nightstand, turned off the lights, lay back against the pillows. The ceiling fan rotated slowly overhead. Steady. Unbothered. My last thought before sleep wasn't about love. It was about documentation. Because if there's one thing I've learned growing up in a family that treats appearances like currency, you never react first, you collect. And Daniel still hadn't answered. I didn't text again. I didn't call. I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. and slept 4 hours without dreaming. When I woke up, the first thing I noticed was the absence. My hand reached across the mattress out of habit. Empty. The indentation on my finger had faded even more overnight. Skin forgets quickly. Phones don't. Before my feet touched the floor, I checked mine. No missed calls. One new message from Madison. Madison, you looked tense last night. We should talk. No mention of the ring, no apology. Just tone control. I typed back. Me. Where is it? She left me on red. I showered. The water pressure in my building is inconsistent. Hot, then lukewarm, then sharp again. It felt fitting. In the kitchen, I poured coffee into a chipped white mug from college. Northwestern logo faded on one side. My group chat was already active. Brunch plans. A screenshot of someone's Hinge date. Normal. Madison had viewed all my Instagram stories from the previous day. Calculated. At 8:12 a.m., Daniel finally called. I let it ring twice. Morning, he said, voice tight. Is it back in your possession? I asked. A pause. Caroline, we need to lower the temperature. My temperature is fine. She dropped it off at my condo late last night. Why not mine? Another pause. You were upset. So he protected the ring from me. Bring it here, I said. I have meetings until noon. I'll come to you. Silence again. Then, that's not necessary? Necessary. That word again. I'll be there at 9, I said. Or I'll stop by county court first. He inhaled sharply. What does that mean? It means the ring is legally part of a conditional contract in Texas. Your engagement property isn't casual. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "You're being extreme," he said. "Am I?" He didn't answer. I ended the call. By 8:50 a.m., I was in an Uber, heading toward his condo near Zilker Park. The driver had a plastic rosary hanging from the rearview mirror. Traffic crawled. I checked my banking app, then something else. The family investment portal again. This time, I didn't skim. I opened the transaction history for the past 90 days. 3 transfers stood out, mid-5 figures, approved under secondary authorization. Madison Whitmore. My stomach didn't drop. It sharpened. The transfer memos were vague. Consulting allocation. Project Bridge. Operational reserve. Operational for what? Daniel's startup was called Greenspan Infrastructure, Sustainable Urban Drainage Solutions. A government contracts pending. I stared at the dates. 2 transfers occurred within a week of our engagement. 1, 3 days after. My coffee from earlier sat untouched in my cup holder. The Uber stopped at a red light. I zoomed into the authorization line. Digital signature attached. The initials were mine. Except they weren't. The loop on the C was wrong. The spacing off by a millimeter. I've signed my name on leases, student loan documents, and voter registrations for a decade. That wasn't my signature. My phone buzzed. Daniel. "I'm heading to the gym. We can talk later." Gym. At 9 in the morning, I texted back. "Me, stay where you are." No response. We pulled up to his building. Modern glass exterior. Concrete planters. Smell of eucalyptus from the lobby diffuser. The concierge nodded. "Morning. Hi, Caroline." "Morning." The elevator ride up felt longer than usual. When I reached his floor, his door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. He was in the kitchen, already dressed for the day. Button-down shirt, coffee mug in hand. The navy velvet ring box sat on the counter. Closed. I didn't look at him first. I looked at the box. "Open it," I said. He hesitated, then flipped the lid. The ring rested inside, polished, untouched. I picked it up slowly. The engraving caught the light. CW and DM forever. Still there. "You're blowing this out of proportion," Daniel said. "Why did she post it?" I asked again. She was excited. "For what?" He set his mug down too hard. "For you. For us." "By pretending it was hers?" She didn't say that. She implied it. "You're reading into it." I slipped the ring onto my finger, and it felt colder than I remembered. "Why did you give her access to our accounts?" I asked. He blinked. "What accounts?" "Greenspan's bridge funding." His jaw tightened slightly. "That's separate." "Is it?" "Your dad offered support. Madison helped coordinate." "By forging my signature?" His face shifted. Subtle, but there. "I didn't forge anything," he said carefully. "I didn't say you did." Silence expanded between us. The hum of his refrigerator filled the space. "Madison has been struggling," he said finally. "Her startup failed. She needed help. So you used my family's capital? We're building something bigger than both of us. Both of us." "You didn't ask me," I said. "I was protecting you from stress." Protecting. Another interesting word. "I saw the authorization logs," I said quietly. "The signature isn't mine." He ran a hand through his hair. "It was a digital proxy. Temporary. Under what agreement?" He didn't answer. Instead, he shifted tone. "Caroline, if you go digging like this, you'll hurt everyone." Everyone. That always means someone specific. I picked up my phone, opened the transaction screenshot, held it out. This was approved under my name. It's just paperwork. Paperwork becomes evidence. He stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "This isn't how relationships work," he said. "You're right," I replied. "It's how contracts work." He stepped closer. Are you threatening me? No, I said calmly. I'm clarifying. His phone buzzed on the counter. A message preview lit up the screen. Madison. Did she freak out? He turned it face down quickly. Too late. I had seen it. She's worried about you, he said. I'm sure she is. I slid the ring off my finger again, placed it back into the box, closed the lid gently. I'll be reviewing the full account history, I said, and speaking to Dad. His face hardened. That's unnecessary. For who? For Madison. There it was. Not for us. For her. You're choosing sides, he added. No, I said. I'm choosing documentation. I picked up the ring box and slipped it into my purse. You can't just... he began. I can, I said. At the door, I paused. One more question, I added. He looked exhausted already. Did you ever intend to tell me? He didn't respond immediately. That hesitation told me enough. I left without waiting. Back in the elevator, I exhaled slowly. The lobby smelled sharper now. Outside, the sun had climbed higher. I didn't call my father. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop in a nearby Starbucks. Ordered nothing. Used their Wi-Fi. Logged into the investment portal again. Downloaded every transaction from the last 6 months. Saved them to a folder labeled Review. Then I opened the digital signature metadata, IP addresses, timestamps, authorization method. One IP repeated, Daniel's condo, another, Madison's apartment near East Austin, my name, their devices. I leaned back in the chair. The cafe music played softly overhead. A barista laughed behind the counter. No one in the room knew that my engagement ring had become evidence, or that my sister had just stepped into something far larger than sibling rivalry. My phone buzzed again. Madison. Madison. You're overreacting. It was symbolic. Symbolic. Me. What exactly was symbolic? She didn't reply. Instead, she posted another Instagram story. Black screen, white text. Some women can't handle sharing. Sharing. I stared at the words. Then I opened my contacts, scrolled, found the name, Elaine Porter, family attorney. I didn't call yet. I just stared at the number. Because once you involve a lawyer, it stops being emotional. It becomes procedural, and procedures leave records. I looked down at my left hand again, bare, light, free. The ring box sat in my purse like a loaded fact. Daniel thought this was about jealousy. Madison thought this was about competition. Neither of them understood. This wasn't about the ring anymore. It was about authorization. And authorization leaves trails. I closed my laptop slowly, picked up my phone, typed one final message to Daniel. Me. I'll need full written documentation of every transfer by end of day. He read it instantly. No reply. I smiled faintly. Because silence, when you're holding proof, sounds different. Silence. When you're holding proof, sounds different. It's not empty. It hums. By noon, I was still at Starbucks, laptop open, documents downloaded, coffee finally ordered so I wouldn't look like a squatter. Vanilla latte, extra shot. I needed clarity, not comfort. The transaction spreadsheet stared back at me. Rows of dates, amounts, authorization codes, digital signatures. I sorted by approval origin. Madison's apartment IP appeared twice, Daniel's condo 4 times. My apartment? 0. I leaned forward, zoomed into the forged signature again. C. Whitmore. But the tail of the C curved inward instead of out. The pressure point on the W was too heavy. Whoever signed it had seen mine before. Close enough to imitate, not close enough to duplicate. My phone buzzed, unknown number. I answered. Caroline? A woman's voice asked. Yes. This is Rebecca Lang from Travis County Clerk's office. We received an inquiry regarding business filings for Greenspan Infrastructure. I hadn't made that call. Can you clarify? I asked carefully. There was a request for certified copies of your fiancé's LLC operating agreement. My stomach tightened. And who requested it? I asked. A Madison Whitmore. Of course. When? I said. This morning, 10:17 a.m. I looked at the time on my laptop. 12:43 p.m. 2 hours ago. She provided your name as co-signer on a capital support addendum, Rebecca continued. I am not a co-signer, I said calmly. There was a pause. Would you like to request certified copies as well? She asked. Yes, I said. Immediately. She gave me instructions for the online portal. I thanked her and ended the call. Madison wasn't just playing with jewelry. She was positioning paperwork. I logged into the county record system. Public filings loaded slowly. Greenspan Infrastructure, LLC. Registered in Texas. Primary managing member, Daniel Mercer. Secondary financial liaison, Madison Whitmore. My name appeared on a draft amendment, not yet finalized. Pending signature. I stared at the PDF preview. Addendum 3B. Capital Infusion Agreement. Projected contribution, $175,000. Source, Whitmore Family Investment Trust. Authorized by Caroline Whitmore. I hadn't authorized anything. My phone buzzed again. Madison. Madison, we need to talk before you embarrass yourself. I typed back. Me. I'm already talking. She didn't respond. Instead, she called. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. What are you doing? She demanded. Reviewing documents. You're making this ugly. You wore my ring. It was symbolic. Of what? A sharp inhale. Of alignment. Alignment with what? With the future, she snapped. You don't understand business. I almost smiled. I understand signatures, I said. Silence on her end. Then softer. Daniel is trying to build something real. By using my name, you were going to benefit. From fraud? It's not fraud, she hissed. It's strategy. Strategy. That addendum requires notarization, I said evenly. County Court Record Number 2, 025-CV-11873, signed by Notary Public. You haven't filed it yet. She didn't speak. You're moving fast, I continued, but not fast enough. You always think you're smarter, she shot back. I think I read what I sign. Her voice shifted, less aggressive, more coaxing. Caroline, listen. Dad trusts me. He knows I can handle negotiations. Dad trusts both of us. No, she said quietly. He trusts whoever brings results. There it was, old patterns surfacing. You think I'm stealing, she added. I think you're leveraging access. For all of us. For you, I corrected. She laughed, a brittle sound. You've always been the safe one, she said. The dependable one. You marry stability. I build risk. By wearing my engagement ring? That wasn't about you, she said. That sentence landed harder than anything else. Not about me. Then what was it about? Who else was there last night? I asked suddenly. What? At the bar. She hesitated. Friends? Which friends? Why does that matter? Because optics matter, I said. She went quiet. And in that quiet, I realized something. This wasn't spontaneous. It was staged. Like she wanted people to see the ring, to ask, to speculate. She wanted the narrative blurred. Did Daniel know you were posting? I asked. Yes, she said quickly. Too quickly. I have the screenshots, I said. You're paranoid. I'm thorough. Her breathing shifted. Then she changed tactics. You're going to blow up your own engagement over paperwork? It stopped being my engagement when you wore the ring. You're dramatic. And you're documented. Silence. Then, softly, if you report this, Dad will side with him. With who? With whoever protects the investment. That was the fear underneath her voice. Money, reputation, access. You're not protecting anything, I said quietly. You're gambling. She exhaled sharply. You've never understood ambition. I understand ownership, I replied. She hung up. I stared at my phone. Then, reopened the county records page, downloaded the draft amendment, saved it alongside the transaction logs. My pulse stayed steady. In another life, I might have cried by now. Called a friend, collapsed. Instead, I made a list. Secure copies of all filings, contact family attorney, freeze discretionary withdrawals, confirm notary requirements, speak to Daniel's business partner. I didn't need revenge. I needed sequence. At 2:15 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Daniel, we need to calm this down. Me, send me the operating agreement. Daniel, it's complicated. Me, so is fraud. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. I closed my laptop and packed my bag. On my way out, I tossed the Starbucks cup in the trash. Outside, the heat had intensified. Austin in late summer doesn't ease you into reality. It presses. I ordered an Uber. As I waited, I opened Instagram one more time. Madison had deleted the ring story, but not before dozens had seen it. Comments remained. Screenshots, I was sure, existed. Nothing online ever truly disappears. Neither do digital signatures. In the Uber, I called Elaine Porter. She answered on the second ring. Caroline, honey, everything okay? Not exactly, I said. I need to review a capital addendum filed under my name. There was a pause. Did you sign something? She asked. No. Another pause. Send it to me. I forwarded the PDF. Within minutes, she called back. This is serious, she said calmly. It's not finalized, but intent matters. Intent to misrepresent? I asked. Yes. And the transfers? I'll need full documentation. But if funds moved under false authorization, that's actionable. Actionable. A clean word. Not emotional. Precise. What's the first step? I asked. Freeze discretionary authority on the trust immediately, she said. Then we schedule a meeting. Today, if possible. I ended the call, opened the banking app again, navigated to account settings. There it was. Secondary withdrawal privileges. Madison Whitmore. Active. I selected Modify, entered my credentials, confirmed 2-factor authentication. Requested immediate suspension pending review. Processing. Approved. A small notification appeared. Authorization updated. I exhaled slowly. Not victory, stability. My phone vibrated. Madison. Madison, what did you just do? I didn't answer. Instead, I looked out the window as the city passed by. Construction cranes, new condos, old houses being renovated. Austin was changing fast. So were we. My phone buzzed again. Hi, Madison. You froze the account? I typed back. Me. I adjusted access. Her reply came instantly. Madison. You don't get to decide that alone. Me. I already did. She didn't respond, but seconds later, Daniel called. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. What did you do? He demanded. I protected my name. You're escalating. No, I said calmly. I'm clarifying ownership. You're jeopardizing Greenspan. You jeopardized it when you forged a signature. I didn't forge. Then who did? Silence. A long one. I stared at my reflection in the Uber window. Calm eyes, steady mouth. You're making this adversarial, he said finally. It became adversarial when you bypassed me. Another pause, then colder. If you go legal, it won't just hurt Madison. Who else will it hurt? He didn't answer, and that silence told me more than any confession could. Because this wasn't just about my sister or my ring. It was about a network I hadn't fully seen yet. And I was only beginning to understand the scale. By the time the Uber dropped me at my apartment, the air felt heavier. Not hot, heavy. Like a storm circling but refusing to break. I didn't go inside right away. I sat on the concrete steps outside my building and opened our old family group chat. 3 years of messages, holiday photos, Dad's forwarded finance articles, Mom's passive-aggressive reminders about church brunch, Madison's sporadic updates. Always dramatic, always urgent. I scrolled back to college, back to her first startup attempt, back to the temporary loan Dad wired her when her app failed to launch, back to the time she maxed out a credit card in his name and cried until he covered it. Patterns don't disappear, they mature. I finally went upstairs, inside, when everything looked exactly the same as it had the night before. But now, I saw it differently. The bridal magazine on the counter felt like propaganda. The Starbucks cup in the sink looked staged. I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop again. This time, I pulled up childhood photos. Madison and me in matching Easter dresses. Madison and me at Lake Travis on a boat. Madison and me at Northwestern move-in day. Every picture held the same dynamic. Her slightly ahead, me slightly behind. She smiled wide, I smiled steady. Growing up, she was the bright one, the risk taker, the one teachers called charismatic. I was dependable, organized, predictable. At least, that's how they described it. Madison dated older guys in college, guys with startups, guys with vision. I dated Daniel, pre-med turned environmental engineer, stable, ambitious, safe. When I introduced him to my family 2 years ago, Madison had hugged him longer than necessary. I remembered that now. I remembered the way she asked him questions about funding models, about scalability, about exit strategies. I thought she was just curious. Now I wasn't so sure. My phone buzzed. "Mom?" I answered. "Caroline, what's going on?" she asked immediately. "Why do you think something's going on?" "Madison is upset." "I'm sure she is." "She said you froze part of the trust?" I adjusted access pending review. There was a pause. "Review of what?" Mom asked. "Unauthorized transfers." Silence. Then softer. "Caroline, you know your sister has always struggled with pressure." "She doesn't struggle with pressure," I said. "She struggles with boundaries. That's not fair." "What's not fair," I replied calmly, "is my signature being used without permission." Mom inhaled sharply. She said Daniel approved everything. "Daniel doesn't own the trust. He's your fiancé." "Exactly." Silence stretched between us. "Your father is on a conference call," she said finally. "He's furious." "At who?" She didn't answer directly. "Can you come to dinner tonight?" she asked instead. "No." "Caroline, not tonight." I ended the call before she could pivot. Dinner would mean pressure, emotion, performance. I wasn't ready to perform. Instead, I opened the trust documentation, scrolled to the section on secondary authorization, Clause 7B. Any transfer exceeding $25,000 requires dual confirmation and recorded consent. Recorded, not implied, not assumed. Recorded. I checked the transfer logs again. There were audio confirmation entries attached to each transaction. I hadn't listened yet. My finger hovered over the first file. I clicked play. A man's voice automated the date and amount. Then, a female voice confirmed. Yes, I authorize. It was Madison, using my name, but it wasn't her normal tone. It was flatter, lower, practiced. Caroline Whitmore confirming transfer. My stomach tightened. She'd rehearsed that. I stopped the audio, opened the second file. Same pattern, same voice, same false confirmation. I leaned back in my chair. The air conditioner hummed above me. My hands felt steady, but something deeper had cracked. Not my engagement, not even the trust. The illusion that Madison only acted impulsively. This wasn't impulse. It was design. I stood up and walked to the bedroom, opened the closet again, pulled out the navy velvet ring box, set it on the dresser, opened it. The diamond caught the afternoon light. It looked innocent. Jewelry doesn't carry guilt. People do. I closed the box, picked up my phone, called Dad. He answered on the third ring. "What did you do?" he asked immediately. "I protected the trust," I said calmly. "You blindsided your sister. She forged my voice." Silence. "What?" he asked. "There are audio confirmations attached to the transfers. She said my name." Another silence, longer this time. "Send them," he said finally. I did. Within minutes, he called back. His voice sounded older. "This is serious." "Yes." "Daniel knew?" "I don't know yet. That boy sat at my table," Dad muttered. "He still does," I said quietly. Dad exhaled heavily. "You should have come to me first." "I just did." Another pause. "Your sister claims you approved everything verbally. Did you hear the recordings?" I asked. "Yes." "And?" Silence. Then softer. "It doesn't sound like you." "Because it's not." Dad didn't argue, but he didn't condemn her either. That was his pattern. Mitigate, balance, avoid. "We'll have dinner tomorrow," he said. "All of us." "I'm not ready for that. You don't get to opt out of family." "I didn't opt out," I replied. "She did." He didn't respond. Instead, he changed tone. "You love Daniel?" The question caught me off guard. "I did," I said honestly. "That's not the same." "No." Another pause. "If this becomes public," he said carefully, "it affects more than your relationship." "I know. It affects our reputation." There it was. Reputation. Currency in our family. "I'm not the one who risked it," I said quietly, like he didn't disagree. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, stared at the ring box again. Memories flooded in. Christmas mornings. Madison opening gifts louder than anyone else. Dad praising her drive. Mom excusing her temper. Me cleaning up after. Filing paperwork for family events. Managing details. Invisible labor. Reliable. Madison once told me, "You're good at supporting roles." I'd laughed. Now I replayed it differently. My phone buzzed again. "Daniel. Daniel, we need to talk before this spirals further," I typed back. "Me. It already did." He called immediately. I answered. "Your dad just called me," he said. "I'm sure he did. He thinks we can resolve this internally." Define internally. No lawyers, no filings. No accountability? I asked. "That's not fair. Neither is forged consent." He sighed. "You're turning this into a battlefield." "It was built that way before I noticed." Silence. Then, carefully, "If you push this, investors will panic." "Which investors?" Another pause. "You wouldn't understand." "I understand leverage," I said calmly, "and I understand exposure." "You're threatening everything we've worked for." "We?" I asked softly. The word hung between us. Not affectionate, not collaborative, possessive. "Caroline," he said, voice lower now, "you need to decide if you want to be my partner or my opponent." I stared at the ring box, closed, still. "I want to be respected," I said. Silence. Then he hung up. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened a new document on my laptop, titled it Timeline. I began typing. Engagement date, transfer dates, bar sighting, Instagram posts, audio confirmations, county filing attempt. Every fact. Every time stamp. Because memory bends under pressure. Documentation doesn't. Outside, thunder finally rolled in the distance. A storm breaking over Austin. I stood and walked to the window, watched the sky darken. Madison had always loved storms. She'd stand outside and let the rain soak her hair. Call it cleansing. I preferred shelter. Structure. Dry ground. My phone buzzed one more time. Madison. Madison. You think you're winning? I didn't respond. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about positioning. And I was no longer slightly behind. The storm hit just after 6. Rain streaked across my apartment windows in sharp diagonal lines. Thunder rolled low and steady, like something clearing its throat. By 7, my phone lit up with a calendar reminder. Greenspan Investor Mixer. Location? The Driscoll Hotel, downtown Austin. Attire? Business formal. I had RSVP'd weeks ago, back when the word fiancé still felt secure. I stared at the reminder for a long moment. Then I stood up. If there was ever a place to understand the scale Daniel mentioned, it was tonight. The lobby of the Driscolls smelled like polished wood and old money. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light across marble floors. A string quartet played near the grand staircase, soft, controlled, expensive. I wore navy, minimal jewelry, no ring, heads turned when I entered. Not dramatically, just recognition. Caroline, one of Daniel's junior associates, waved. Congrats again. Thank you, I said smoothly. I scanned the room. Investors, city development consultants, 2 council staffers I recognized from municipal panels, a representative from a water management board. Serious people. People who read contracts. Daniel stood near the bar, laughing with a group of men in tailored suits. He looked composed, effortless, as if nothing was fracturing beneath the surface. Then I saw her. Madison. Across the room. White blazer, hair pulled back, sleek, champagne flute in hand. Not beside Daniel. Just near enough. Strategic distance. Her eyes met mine. She didn't look surprised. She looked prepared. I walked toward Daniel first. Caroline, he said, smile fixed. I didn't expect you. I had RSVP'd, I replied. His hand hovered near my waist, but didn't quite touch. One of the investors extended his hand. Daniel speaks highly of you, he said. Says you're instrumental to the capital alignment. Capital alignment? Interesting phrasing. I value transparency, I said evenly. The investor nodded approvingly. Critical in infrastructure, he said, especially with city contracts. City contracts, meaning public oversight, meaning scrutiny. Daniel's smile tightened slightly. Caroline's been under a lot of stress lately, he added lightly. I prefer precision, I corrected gently. The investor chuckled. Good trait, he said. I glanced toward Madison. She was now speaking with a woman I recognized from Travis County procurement. Not a casual guest, an official. My pulse remained even, but something sharpened again. I excused myself from Daniel and moved toward the bar. Ordered sparkling water. No alcohol tonight. I needed clarity. As I turned, I heard Madison's voice. Yes, the trust is fully aligned with Greenspan's next phase. Fully aligned. She said it like she owned it. I stepped closer, just within earshot. The procurement officer smiled politely. And Caroline is comfortable with that? She asked. Madison's answer came without hesitation. Of course. We discussed everything extensively. Discussed? I stepped forward then. Discussed what? I asked calmly. Both women turned. Madison's expression flickered, just briefly. The procurement officer looked relieved. Oh, perfect timing, she said. We were just confirming alignment on the Whitmore Trust support. I wasn't aware it required confirmation tonight, I replied. Madison laughed lightly. So it's just informal conversation. With public officials? I asked. The officer shifted slightly. Nothing formal, she clarified. Good, I said gently, because no addendum has been notarized. Madison's jaw tightened. The officer blinked. Not notarized? She repeated. County Court Record Number 2025-CV-11873 remains pending, I said evenly. No capital infusion has been authorized. The officer's smile faded. I see, she said carefully. Then we'll await formal documentation. She excused herself politely. Madison turned to me. You did that on purpose, she hissed under her breath. I corrected a misstatement, I replied. You embarrassed me. You represented me. Her eyes flashed. You're sabotaging this. I'm preventing misrepresentation. Daniel appeared beside us quickly. What's happening? He asked. Nothing, Madison snapped. Caroline's just clarifying. Transparency builds stronger foundations, I added calmly. Daniel's gaze sharpened. Can we not do this here? He murmured. I didn't start it here, I said. A nearby guest approached Daniel. Daniel, quick question about the Series B structure? He stepped away reluctantly. Madison leaned closer. You think freezing the account was bold? She whispered. Watch what happens when investors pull. If they pull because documentation is missing, I replied, that's not my fault. You're going to ruin him. I didn't forge audio. Her eyes widened slightly. You sent that to Dad. Yes. She exhaled sharply. You don't understand how close we are to closing. Then you shouldn't have rushed paperwork. She laughed softly. You always think rules protect you. They protect everyone. No, she said quietly. They protect whoever controls them. That sentence lingered, not childish, calculated. Why the ring? I asked finally. Her expression shifted. For the first time, something almost vulnerable flickered. Because optics matter, she said. To who? To investors? My breath stilled. You wanted them to think you were integrated, she finished. Into my engagement? Into the future. The implication landed heavy. She wasn't trying to steal Daniel. She was trying to anchor herself to the narrative. If investors believed she was aligned with him personally, the trust support looked natural, familial, permanent. My engagement had become branding. You used me as leverage, I said quietly. She didn't deny it. She simply looked at me and said, you would have benefited. Daniel returned, tension visible now. Caroline, can we step outside? He asked. No, I said calmly. You can answer something here. His jaw tightened. Did you tell investors the trust was secured? He hesitated. It's anticipated. That's not what she told procurement. Madison cut in. Stop turning this into litigation. It already is, I said. Daniel's business partner approached then. Mark Delaney. Late 40s? Sharp suit? Quiet eyes. Everything all right? He asked. Of course, Daniel said quickly. I'd actually like clarity, I replied. Mark looked between us. On? He prompted. Capital authorization, I said. Has Greenspan formally received trust backing? Mark's expression changed. Subtle. Concern. Daniel indicated verbal approval. He said slowly. I gave none. I replied. Silence fell around us. Not dramatic, just heavy. Mark's gaze shifted to Daniel. So is that accurate? He asked. Daniel didn't answer immediately. That hesitation spoke louder than any confession. Mark's tone cooled. We need to talk privately, he said to Daniel. They stepped aside. Madison grabbed my wrist. Do you have any idea what you just did? She whispered. Yes, I said calmly. I corrected the record. You're going to cost him everything. If everything depends on a forged signature, it was unstable to begin with. Her grip tightened. You think Dad will side with you when this hits headlines? I think Dad cares about legality. You're naive. And you're exposed. She released my wrist. The quartet shifted into a slower piece. The room continued buzzing softly, unaware of the fracture running through it. Daniel and Mark spoke in hushed tones near the staircase. Mark's posture stiff. Daniel defensive. I checked my phone. A new email notification from Elaine Porter. Subject, immediate advisory. I opened it. Based on review, recommend formal notice of dispute within 24 hours to preserve position. Delay increases exposure. Preserve position. Delay increases exposure. The language felt surgical. I looked up at Madison. For the first time, I saw not confidence, but calculation turning into risk. Daniel returned, his smile gone. We're leaving, he said quietly. I'm not, I replied. His eyes flashed. This is my event. And my name, I said evenly. Mark approached again. Caroline, he said gently, if there's documentation you'd like reviewed formally, my office can coordinate. There it was. An opening, not revenge, leverage. I'll forward everything, I said. Daniel's face went pale. Caroline, he warned, but I was already typing. Forwarding transaction logs, audio files, draft addendum, documentation, time-stamped, clear. Madison stared at me. You're choosing destruction, she said softly. No, I replied. I'm choosing record. The quartet continued playing. Champagne glasses clinked. Laughter rose in pockets across the ballroom. But something fundamental had shifted. Because now, it wasn't just me who knew. It was his partner. And once a business partner questions documentation, the narrative changes. Daniel stepped closer, voice low. If this collapses, don't expect forgiveness. I met his gaze evenly. I stopped expecting protection. He looked like he wanted to say more, but he didn't. Instead, he walked away. Madison didn't follow him. She stayed where she was, watching me, as if recalculating. The storm outside had passed. But inside the ballroom, pressure was building. And this time it wasn't silent. And this time, it wasn't silent. Daniel didn't come back to the ballroom. Mark did. He approached me near the edge of the room, expression composed but sharpened. Caroline, he said quietly, I reviewed what you sent. That was fast, I replied. I don't ignore forged authorization. The word hung between us. Forged. Not miscommunication, not misunderstanding. Forged. Madison stood across the room, pretending to scroll on her phone. Listening. Always listening. Daniel framed the trust as secured, Mark continued. Not pending. It isn't secured, I said. I'm aware. His jaw tightened slightly. We have a city review panel next week, he added. If documentation doesn't align, we lose credibility. You should have had alignment before presenting it, I said calmly. He didn't argue. Instead, he lowered his voice further. There's something else. I waited. Daniel mentioned Madison had signed a private indemnity agreement. My stomach didn't drop. It crystallized. Indemnity for what? I asked. For risk exposure if the trust withdrew. Under what authority? That's what I'm trying to determine. Across the room, Madison finally looked up. Our eyes met again. This wasn't sibling rivalry. This was layered. Do you have a copy? I asked Mark. Not yet, he said. Daniel claimed it was internal. Internal. The word again. Send me anything you receive, I said. He nodded, then added, I don't enjoy surprises. Neither do I. He gave a short nod and stepped away. I stood still for a moment, letting the information settle. Private indemnity agreement, meaning if the trust pulled funding, someone else assumed liability. Madison. Why would she agree to that? Unless she was more entangled than I realized. My phone buzzed, a new email from an unfamiliar address. Subject, as requested, attachment, indemnity_mw.pdf, no sender name. Just a generic business account. I opened it. Madison Whitmore. Signed. Witnessed. Dated 2 weeks after my engagement. The language was precise. In the event of capital withdrawal by the Whitmore Family Trust, the undersigned agrees to assume responsibility for outstanding commitments to Greenspan Infrastructure, LLC. Outstanding commitments. I scanned further. Clause 4. In consideration of strategic alignment and future equity participation. Equity. My breath slowed. This wasn't just support. She was positioning herself for ownership, equity participation in Daniel's company, tied to my family's money, without my consent. I forwarded the document to Elaine immediately. Then I looked up. Madison was no longer pretending to scroll. She was watching me directly. Challenging. I walked toward her. Not fast, not slow. Measured. You signed indemnity, I said quietly. Her expression didn't shift. Yes. For equity? For alignment. With him? With the company? You used my engagement as leverage, she exhaled. You were dragging your feet. On what? Commitment. The word hit differently this time. You proposed 3 revisions to the prenuptial, she continued softly. Daniel felt uncertain. Daniel doesn't negotiate through you. Apparently, he does. The implication was deliberate. You inserted yourself, I said. I protected opportunity. At my expense. At everyone's benefit. I stared at her. For a moment, I almost saw the little girl who cried when Dad praised my grades instead of her stage performance. Almost. But this wasn't jealousy. It was strategy. You realize indemnity makes you personally liable, I said calmly. I'm not afraid of risk. You should be. She smiled faintly. You're the one who froze funding. And you're the one who assumed debt. Her smile faltered slightly. Just enough. You think Daniel won't stand by me? She asked. I think Daniel stands by whoever funds him. Her eyes flashed. You're bitter. I'm observant. She leaned closer. You were never going to fully support him, she whispered. You wanted control. I wanted documentation. Same thing, she snapped. No, I replied evenly. Control hides. Documentation reveals. Her jaw tightened. Dad will fix this, she said. By choosing sides? By protecting the family. The family is exposed because of you. She shook her head. You're missing the bigger picture. Which is? Daniel is about to secure municipal contracts that will multiply the trust. With unauthorized capital, with anticipated capital. I studied her carefully. You believed in him, I said quietly. She hesitated. Just a flicker. I believe in growth, she corrected. And in wearing my ring? That was optics, she repeated. For investors. For legitimacy. By implying you were the fiancé? She didn't answer. Instead, she asked softly, would it have mattered if you weren't so hesitant? hesitant. The word lingered. I thought back. The prenuptial revisions, the extra clauses I'd requested, the delayed trust integration. Daniel had grown colder during that time, less affectionate. I'm more transactional. You were pressuring him, she said. I was protecting myself. And that made you replaceable. The sentence landed hard. Replaceable. Not romantically, strategically. You aligned with him against me, I said quietly. I aligned with opportunity. And if he fails, he won't. Confidence or denial. My phone buzzed again. Elaine. I stepped aside to answer. Caroline, she said, voice tight. That indemnity is reckless. I assumed so. She exposed herself personally. I know. And Daniel allowed it? Yes. A pause. Then this isn't just about forged authorization, Elaine said. It's about conspiracy to misrepresent funding. Conspiracy. The word echoed. Legal. Serious. What are my options? I asked. You can file formal notice of dispute and notify Greenspan's board immediately, she said. Or you can attempt private resolution. I looked across the ballroom. Daniel stood near the exit now, watching us. Watching me. There's no private resolution left, I said quietly. Elaine exhaled. Then we move formally. I'll send final documentation tonight. Good. I ended the call. Madison approached again. What did she say? She demanded. That you signed something you don't fully understand. Her eyes narrowed. I understand liability. Do you understand exposure? She didn't answer. Instead, she glanced toward Daniel. He's choosing, she said softly. So am I. You're burning bridges. I'm documenting arson. She stared at me. Something fragile flickered beneath her confidence. Do you even love him? She asked suddenly. The question felt almost out of place. I loved who I thought he was, I said honestly. Quick and now. Now I love clarity more. Her shoulders tensed. For the first time, doubt crept into her posture. Not loud, not dramatic, just a subtle shift. Because if Daniel was willing to let her assume liability, he might not stand where she expected. And if the board reviewed documentation, he might not control the narrative. The quartet shifted to a brighter piece. Investors resumed laughter. But the undercurrent had changed. Because now indemnity existed. Forgery existed. Exposure existed. And once documentation reaches a board, loyalty becomes secondary. Madison looked at me one last time. You think this ends clean? She asked. No, I replied calmly. I think it ends recorded. Her gaze hardened, but her confidence had cracked. Just slightly. Enough. Because risk feels glamorous. Until it's personal. And she had just signed it persona. I didn't leave the Driscoll immediately. I stayed long enough to watch the energy shift. Investors cluster differently when they sense instability. Conversations tighten. Laughter shortens. Phones come out more often. Daniel disappeared into a side hallway with Mark. Madison pretended to circulate. But she wasn't networking anymore. She was monitoring. I stepped onto the hotel's balcony overlooking 6th Street. The air was cooler after the storm. Pavement below still slick. Neon signs reflected in puddles. Austin always looks better after rain. Cleaner. Exposed. My phone buzzed. Elaine. Caroline, she said, direct as always. I drafted a notice of dispute. It formally contests unauthorized representation of trust backing. How fast can it be filed? I asked. Tonight, if you approve? I approve. Once filed, it triggers disclosure obligations, she added. Greenspan will have to correct any investor statements. That's the point. She paused. You're certain? Yes. You understand. This likely ends your engagement. It ended the moment my signature was forged. Silence, then softer. I'll proceed. I hung up and leaned against the balcony railing. Below, music thumped from a bar. A bachelorette party stumbled past in matching pink sashes. Life continued. I opened my email. Draft, notice _of _dispute _Whitmore Trust.pdf clear. Precise, direct. I signed digitally, sent confirmation, time-stamped, irreversible. My phone buzzed again almost instantly. Daniel. Daniel? What did you just file? I didn't answer. He called. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. You blindsided me, he said, voice low and controlled. You misrepresented funding. It was pending. You presented it as secured. That's negotiation. That's misstatement. He exhaled sharply. You've just triggered disclosure. Yes. Investors will panic. Investors value accuracy, not when timing is critical. I let that hang. This was strategic, he insisted. Madison understood that. Madison signed indemnity. She volunteered? For equity? For belief. I almost laughed. She assumed personal liability for your projections. She wanted in. At my expense. At the company's growth. There it was again. Growth. Always abstract, never accountable. I'm not your obstacle, I said calmly. I'm your unapproved variable. Silence. You've made this adversarial, he said finally. You made it transactional. He lowered his voice. If Greenspan loses the municipal contract because of this, you will carry that. I will carry documentation, I replied. And our relationship? I paused, because for a second, memory tried to surface. Ladybird Lake, the proposal, the champagne, but memory doesn't override evidence. You turned my engagement into leverage, I said quietly. That's not a relationship. He didn't argue. Instead, he changed tone. You think Mark won't protect the company over you? I think Mark protects himself. And Madison? She signed personal risk. Another silence. Then colder. She believed in me. And you let her. He didn't deny that either. I ended the call. Not angry. Resolved. When I walked back into the ballroom, the quartet had stopped playing. People were checking phones. Whispers moved faster now. Mark approached me directly. They've received notice, he said. Yes. His expression wasn't hostile. It was analytical. We need to convene tomorrow morning, he said. Full review. I'll attend. You're not a board member. My name is on the documents. He nodded slowly. Fair. Madison crossed the room toward us. What did you do? She demanded. Filed notice, Mark said evenly. Her face drained slightly. You didn't tell me you'd escalate? She snapped at him. I didn't know she would, he replied. You could have warned us. She turned to me. I did, I said, repeatedly. You've just jeopardized months of work. You jeopardized it when you impersonated me. Her voice dropped. You think Dad will support this publicly? I think Dad will support legality. You're naive. Maybe. Daniel re-entered the room. His composure was thinner now. We're done here, he said quietly to Madison. She hesitated. You're still attending the after meeting? She pressed. There is no after meeting, he replied. Something shifted between them. Subtle, but undeniable. She studied his face. You're not pulling back, she said softly. He didn't answer directly. Let's go, he said. But she didn't move. Instead, she looked at me. For the first time since this started, she looked uncertain. You said you'd stand firm, she told him quietly. I am, he replied. Against her? She pressed. His silence answered. And in that silence, the structure cracked. Because Daniel wasn't choosing Madison. He was choosing survival. And survival, in corporate rooms, rarely favors emotional loyalty. Madison stepped back slightly. "You promised," she said under her breath. He didn't respond. Mark cleared his throat. "We reconvene at 9, he said. "All documentation on the table." Then he walked away. Guests began filtering out. The energy had shifted from celebration to damage control. Daniel looked at me one last time. "You've made this impossible," he said. "No," I replied calmly. "I made it visible." He shook his head and left. Madison lingered. "You think he won't recover?" she asked quietly. "He might," I said, "but not the way you planned." Her jaw tightened. "You were never brave enough for this level," she muttered. "I don't need to be brave," I said. "I need to be right." She stared at me, then turned and followed Daniel out. I remained, standing in the ballroom as staff began clearing champagne glasses. The chandeliers dimmed slightly. Storm washed clean outside. Inside, exposure had begun. My phone buzzed one more time. "Elaine." "It's filed," she said. "Time-stamped 8:42 p.m. "Good." "Caroline," she added, "this changes everything." "I know. Are you ready for that?" I looked around the nearly empty ballroom, at the place where my engagement had just been repositioned as leverage, at the air still humming with tension. "Yes," I said. Because the moment I froze the trust, this stopped being emotional. It became structural, and structures, once audited, either collapse or reveal who was holding them up. Tonight, I stopped holding. The next morning felt unnaturally quiet. No dramatic texts, no frantic calls, just silence, which in corporate damage control means meetings are happening without you. At 8:17 a.m., Mark emailed. Subject, emergency board review, 9 a.m. Conference room. B. Attached, updated financial exposure summary. I opened it. 3 highlighted risks: conditional trust capital, disputed, indemnity agreement, personal liability, Whitmore. Municipal review, pending verification, municipal review. That was the contract Madison had been hinting at. The one she'd smiled about. The one she wore my ring to imply alignment for. I dressed in charcoal, clean lines, no jewelry, not even earrings. At 8:45, I walked into Greenspan's office near South Congress. Glass walls, minimalist branding. A framed rendering of future drainage systems lining Austin neighborhoods. Ambition, printed large. Reception looked tense. "Conference room B is down the hall," the assistant said softly. When I entered, Daniel was already seated. Mark beside him. 2 additional board members on screen via Zoom. Madison was there too, not seated at the table, standing near the window. The air felt colder than it should have. Mark began without pleasantries. "We've reviewed the notice of dispute," he said, "and the audio files." He clicked a button. The forged confirmation played through the room speakers. Madison's voice, flat, rehearsed. Caroline Whitmore confirming transfer. Silence followed. Not dramatic, just undeniable. Board member number 1 spoke first. "That is not Caroline's voice," he said evenly. Daniel didn't respond. Board member number 2 leaned closer to his camera. "Why was Trust Capital represented as secured?" she asked. Daniel cleared his throat. "It was anticipated." "That's not the question." He hesitated. "Momentum required confidence." "Confidence is not documentation," she replied. Mark slid the indemnity agreement across the table. "Madison assumed personal liability," he said, "without board approval." All eyes shifted to her. She didn't sit. She didn't fidget. But the confidence she wore at the rooftop bar was gone. "I believed in the trajectory," she said. At what cost? Mark asked. At temporary exposure. Temporary? Board member number 1 repeated. If trust funding is formally withdrawn, you carry 6 figures of liability. Madison swallowed. Daniel finally spoke. It won't be withdrawn. I spoke then. It already is. The room shifted. I've instructed the trust to suspend discretionary capital pending audit, I said calmly. Daniel's jaw tightened. You didn't have to. Yes, I said. I did. Board member number 2 nodded slowly. That preserves integrity, she said. Daniel looked at her sharply. She didn't flinch. Mark leaned back. The municipal review panel requires verified capital backing, he said. Without it, Greenspan must amend its submission. Daniel exhaled heavily. This timing destroys momentum. Better now than after award, Mark replied. The word award hung in the air. So that was the scale. A city contract. Millions, potentially. Madison had gambled family money to secure a narrative of inevitability. And Daniel had let her. Board member number 1 turned to me. Caroline, are you withdrawing permanently? I'm withdrawing until transparency is established, I said evenly. Daniel stared at me. You're killing this. I'm correcting it. Madison stepped forward then. You're doing this because you're hurt, she said. No, I replied calmly. I'm doing this because documentation was falsified. You're humiliating me, she pressed. You humiliated yourself when you impersonated me. Her face flushed. Board member number 2 spoke again. Let's be clear. If this becomes public, reputational damage is significant. Silence. Then Mark said what no one else had yet. It may already be public. Everyone turned toward him. I received a call from procurement this morning, he continued. They were informed funding alignment was under review. Daniel's eyes widened. Who informed them? He demanded. Mark didn't look at me. I confirmed, no notarized addendum exists. Madison inhaled sharply. So you undermined us too? She said. I corrected record, Mark replied. The same phrase I had used. Daniel pushed back from the table. This is spiraling. No, I said quietly. This is stabilizing. He turned toward me fully. You could have handled this privately. You handled it privately, I replied. And look where that got us. His silence said enough. Board member number 1 straightened. Effective immediately, Greenspan will amend its municipal submission to remove trust backing, he said. Further review of authorization procedures will occur. Madison looked stunned. You're pulling the narrative? She asked. We're protecting the company, Mark said. Her eyes flicked to Daniel. You said we were aligned. He didn't meet her gaze. He looked at the table. That was the moment she understood. Not emotionally, strategically. He wasn't choosing her. He was choosing containment. Board member number 2 added calmly, if liability exposure becomes formal, we advise separate counsel. Separate counsel. The phrase sliced cleanly. Madison stepped back slightly. Daniel finally looked at her. I'll handle this, he said quietly, but he didn't specify how. The meeting adjourned. Chairs shifted. Screens disconnected. Mark gathered documents methodically. Daniel remained seated. Madison stood still. I rose, picked up my folder, turned toward the door. Caroline, Daniel said. I paused. He stood. For what it's worth, he said slowly, I believed this would work. At whose expense? I asked. He didn't answer. Madison's voice came softer now. You didn't have to freeze everything, she said. Yes, I replied. I did. Now I'm exposed. You signed. She stared at me. I thought you'd hesitate, she admitted quietly. I met her gaze evenly. I did, I said. Then I stopped. Her composure fractured then, not loudly, but visibly, because she had calculated around my patience, not my threshold. And once that threshold shifted, the board shifted. The narrative shifted. The leverage shifted. I walked out of conference room B without looking back. In the hallway, sunlight streamed through tall windows, bright, unfiltered. My phone buzzed. Elaine, municipal inquiry confirmed, she said. They're requesting clarification in writing. Good, I replied. This will seal position. I know. Outside the building, traffic moved steadily. Life continued. But Greenspan's structure had just been audited. And the foundation was no longer built on my silence. By the time I reached my car, my phone had 32 notifications. Group chats, missed calls, 2 voicemails from Mom, 1 from Dad, and a single text from Madison. Madison, come to the house. Alone. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I drove. My parents' house sits just west of downtown. Large oak trees, white brick exterior, the kind of place that holds decades of polished family dinners. The porch light was on. Midday. A signal. When I walked inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and something burned. Probably forgotten toast. Mom stood in the kitchen, Dad in the dining room, Madison at the head of the table, not crying, not pacing, waiting. You filed formal dispute, Dad said immediately. Yes. You involved municipal review. Yes. Madison's jaw tightened. You could have handled this privately, she said. I tried. No, she snapped. You escalated. I responded. Mom stepped forward. Girls, she began. Mom, I said softly. This isn't about girls. It wasn't. It was about signatures, about authority, about risk. Dad gestured toward the dining table. Sit, he said. I did. Madison remained standing. You froze the trust, she said again. I suspended discretionary withdrawals pending audit. You humiliated me in front of the board. You impersonated me. Her voice cracked slightly. You always do this. Do what? Turn everything into a courtroom. Because everything becomes evidence when you blur lines. She stepped closer. You think I wanted to forge you? She asked. Cool, you did. Because Daniel said it was procedural. And you believed him? I believed in growth. Growth doesn't require impersonation. She slammed her palm against the table. You were going to pull funding anyway. I blinked. No, I said. Yes, she insisted. You delayed. You revised prenup clauses. You asked for compliance audits. That's protection. That's distrust. Dad intervened. Enough, he said sharply. Silence fell. Madison looked at him. You always protect her, she said. He stiffened. That's not true. You always think she's responsible, Madison continued. You always assume I'm reckless? Mom stepped in. You made a mistake, she said gently to Madison. A mistake? Madison laughed bitterly. You think this was an accident? The room shifted, because that was the first honest thing said. It wasn't an accident, Madison continued quietly. It was necessary. Necessary, the word Daniel had used. I watched her carefully. Necessary for what? I asked. For leverage. There it was. She exhaled. Daniel's investors were hesitating. The municipal panel wanted secured capital alignment. You were dragging. I was reviewing. You were slowing momentum. I was protecting my name. And I was protecting the deal. At my expense. At everyone's benefit. The same script. Different room. Dad's voice cut in. You signed indemnity? Madison nodded. Yes. Do you understand what that means? Yes. If the contract collapses. It won't, she said quickly. Madison, I said calmly, the board already amended submission. Her face changed. Not shocked, but shaken. They pulled trust backing? She asked. They corrected representation. She looked at Dad. You told them? She asked. I didn't have to, he said quietly. The notice did. Her composure wavered. For the first time since the rooftop bar, she looked unsure. You let them turn on me, she whispered to Daniel. Daniel wasn't there, but she said his name anyway. Dad leaned back in his chair. Why the ring? He asked suddenly. The room stilled. Madison's eyes flicked toward me, then back to him. It signaled alignment, she said softly. With who? Dad pressed. With Daniel. By wearing your sister's engagement ring? She hesitated. Then something inside her finally cracked. You were never going to let me in, she said, voice breaking slightly. Let you into what? I asked. The future? Silence. You've always had the stable path, she continued. Good school. Good job. A safe fiancé. The trust. You were the legacy daughter. That's not how I saw it. That's because you never had to fight for it. The words hung heavy. Daniel needed someone decisive, she said. Someone willing to take risk. And you thought that was you. Yes. And you thought wearing my ring would solidify perception. She didn't deny it. I needed investors to see permanence, she said quietly. You needed them to think you were irreplaceable. Her silence answered. Mom finally spoke. You risked your sister's name, she said softly. Madison's eyes filled, but she didn't cry. I risked mine too, she said. Yes, I replied evenly. You did. Dad rubbed his temples. Daniel is distancing himself, he said quietly. Madison looked up sharply. What? He called me, Dad continued. He's restructuring narrative. Her breathing changed. He said indemnity was your initiative. The room shifted. Madison stared at him. No, she whispered. He said you volunteered. She looked at me, then back at Dad. He said we were aligned, she insisted. He's protecting the company, Dad replied. Madison's posture collapsed slightly. Not physically, strategically. Because she understood something now. Daniel hadn't chosen her. He had chosen insulation. You let me believe we were building something, she whispered, as if he were standing there. No one answered. The silence wasn't cruel. It was clear. She looked at me then, not defensive, not superior, just raw. You could have warned me, she said. I did, I replied quietly. You could have called me before filing. I called you before freezing the account. You didn't tell me you'd go public. You didn't tell me you'd use my name. That settled it. Madison sank into a chair finally. Her shoulders slumped. You always think you're righteous, she muttered. No, I said softly. I think I'm accountable. The room remained heavy, but something fundamental had shifted, not just in the boardroom, here, at this table, where patterns had formed for years. Dad looked at both of us. This ends now, he said firmly. We protect the trust. We separate liability, and we stop pretending risk equals brilliance. Madison didn't argue. She just stared at the table. Mom reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. I stood slowly. You're withdrawing? Madison asked quietly. Yes. From Daniel? Yes. From the deal? Yes. And from me? That question lingered. I met her eyes. I'm withdrawing from misrepresentation, I said, not from being your sister. She didn't respond, but something inside her shifted. Not surrender, but realization. Because risk feels glamorous until you're the one left holding liability. And Daniel had just handed it back to her. I walked toward the door. Dad's voice stopped me. Caroline? I turned. You did what you believed was right, he said. Yes? And you were right, he added quietly. Madison flinched at that, but she didn't argue. I stepped outside. The oak trees rustled softly in the afternoon breeze. My phone buzzed one more time. Daniel. Daniel. We need to finalize things. Finalize. I looked at the house behind me, then at the sky above. Clear? After the storm, I typed back. Me. Yes, we do. Me. Yes? We do. Daniel asked to meet at Lady Bird Lake, the same place he proposed. Of course he did. Symbolism had always been his strength. It was 6:40 p.m. when I arrived. The water reflected the orange-pink Texas sunset. Joggers passed. A couple posed for engagement photos near the railing. I stood where he had once knelt. Memory is powerful, but documentation is stronger. Daniel approached from the trail, hands in his pockets. No smile this time. No photographer hiding behind a tree. You didn't have to go nuclear, he said without greeting. I filed dispute, I replied. Not a bomb. You cost us the municipal contract. You cost it when you misrepresented capital. He exhaled slowly. Joy, it would have closed. With false alignment? With anticipated funding. You never had secured approval. You were going to approve. No, I said calmly. I was going to review. He stared at the water. You don't understand how momentum works. I understand how consent works. Silence. He turned toward me. Madison believed in the vision. She believed in you. And you didn't? I believed in documentation. He almost smiled. That's not romantic. This wasn't romantic, I said evenly. It was structural. A couple nearby laughed loudly. A dog barked. Life continued. You're ending this, he said quietly. Yes. Over paperwork? Over integrity. He studied me. You're not even angry, he observed. I was, I said, when I saw her wearing my ring. He flinched slightly. That was optics. For investors, I replied. You're still stuck on that. No, I said calmly. I moved past it. That surprised him. Then what is this really about? He asked. It's about the moment I realized my name was being used without me. He didn't deny it. Instead, he tried a different angle. We could restructure, he said, renegotiate. Trust isn't a term sheet. Caroline, I loved who you were when you proposed, I said quietly. I don't recognize who you became in that boardroom. His jaw tightened. You embarrassed me. You exposed yourself. Silence settled between us. Not hostile. Final. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the ring box. I figured you'd want this, he said. I looked at it. The navy velvet, the oval diamond, the hidden sapphire. I didn't take it immediately. Keep it, he added. Family heirloom. I finally extended my hand. He placed it there. Light, cold, symbolic. Madison won't recover from this easily, he said. She'll learn, I replied. You don't sound like a sister. I'm not her shield. He studied me for a long moment. You think you won? No, I said softly. I think I stayed intact. That ended it. No yelling, no tears, no dramatic gestures. Just closure. He nodded once, then walked away down the trail. I stood there until he disappeared into the evening crowd. Then I opened the ring box. The diamond caught the fading sunlight. brilliant, unbothered. I closed it again. 3 weeks later, Greenspan publicly amended its municipal filing. The trust was formally removed. Internal review was announced. Daniel stepped down from managing member temporarily. Madison retained personal counsel. Indemnity negotiations began. County Court Record Number 2025 CV 11873 was formally withdrawn. Signed, filed, sealed. The ring remained in my possession, not as promise, as evidence of a turning point. I moved out of the apartment Daniel and I had been splitting, signed a new lease downtown, 1 bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the skyline. The first night there, I sat on the floor with takeout from a late-night diner. No bridal magazines, no shared calendars, no leveraged optics. Just quiet. Madison texted once. Madison, I didn't mean to make you replaceable. I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, Me. I'm not. She didn't answer, but she didn't block me either. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just boundaries holding. Mom stopped asking about wedding dates. Dad scheduled a full audit of trust authorization protocols. I attended, not as victim, as stakeholder. At work, I requested expanded oversight responsibilities, documentation, compliance, review. My boss approved without hesitation. You're good under pressure, she said. I smiled, not because I'd survived, because I'd chosen correctly. Sometimes, revenge isn't screaming in a bar. It isn't public humiliation. It isn't tearing something down. Sometimes revenge is simply refusing to be repositioned, refusing to be leveraged, refusing to let your name become collateral. I didn't destroy Daniel. I didn't bankrupt Madison. I didn't collapse Greenspan. I corrected the record. And in doing so, I cashed in the one secret they underestimated. My threshold. The night I saw my sister wearing my engagement ring under neon lights, I thought I was witnessing betrayal. I was actually witnessing miscalculation. They assumed I would hesitate. They assumed I would prioritize romance over record. They assumed wrong. The skyline outside my new apartment glows differently at night, clearer, steadier. And when I look at my left hand now, bare, light, unleveraged, I don't see loss. I see ownership. If this story struck a chord, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments.